Before anything manifests in your life, before the words leave your mouth, before your feet take a step, before your hands move to create, it all begins in one place, your mind. The mind is the seedbed where every action, every choice, and every outcome is first planted. When you look closely, you will realize that nothing in your external world appears without first having passed through the gateway of your thoughts. This means the way you think is not a small matter. It is the foundation upon which your entire life is built. If the foundation is unstable, no matter how beautiful the structure on top, it will eventually collapse. If the foundation is strong, even the storms of life will not be able to bring it down. Thinking correctly is not about filling your head with endless optimism or forcing yourself to see the world in a way that feels unnatural. It is about sharpening the lens through which you perceive reality. Imagine a photographer who tries to take a picture with a dirty lens. No matter how beautiful the scene in front of them, the image will always be blurred and distorted. In the same way, if your thoughts are clouded by fear, assumption, or resentment, your life will reflect that distortion. Thinking correctly means you clean the lens. You see things as they are, not as your emotions exaggerate them to be. Most people underestimate the power of thought because thoughts are invisible. They can't be held, touched, or weighed. Yet they have more influence over your destiny than any physical object. Your body follows your mind. Your habits follow your thoughts. Your relationships, your career, your health, all follow the blueprint of the mind. If you tell yourself repeatedly that you cannot do something, you will unconsciously act in ways that make that belief a reality. If you tell yourself that every problem is an opportunity to learn, your mind will begin to search for those opportunities without you even asking it to. This is why guarding your mental environment is just as important as guarding your physical environment. If you would not allow someone to dump garbage into your home, why would you allow the same to be done to your mind? Yet many do through constant negative self-talk, unhealthy comparisons, and exposure to destructive influences. What you feed your mind will grow. If you plant seeds of doubt and fear, they will multiply until they become weeds that choke your potential. If you plant seeds of clarity, patience, and discipline, they will grow into a forest of stability and strength. Thinking correctly also requires the ability to step outside of your own thoughts and examine them. Not every thought you have is true. Not every belief you hold is serving you. Many thoughts are simply echoes from the past, opinions you inherited from other people, fears you learned from experiences that no longer define you. Without questioning them, you will mistake them for truth and live according to their limits. But once you see that you are the thinker, not the thought, you gain the ability to choose. You can choose which thoughts to nurture and which to let go. Your mind is not just a storage space for memories and ideas. It is the command center of your life. When it is scattered, your actions will be scattered. When it is focused, your actions will be precise. This is why some people seem to achieve extraordinary results with the same 24 hours in a day as everyone else. Their mind is not pulling them in 10 different directions. It is aligned, disciplined, and directed toward what they truly want to create. A correctly trained mind does not waste its energy on what it cannot control. It focuses on what it can shape and influence. Over time, this creates a ripple effect, where small, intentional thoughts compound into powerful, life-changing outcomes. One of the greatest challenges in life is learning to separate what is real from what is imagined. It is not the events themselves that often cause us the most suffering, but the way we interpret them. A single moment can be experienced in countless different ways, depending on the perspective of the person involved. Two people can face the same situation. One sees it as a disaster, the other sees it as an opportunity. The difference is not in the event, it is in the mind interpreting it. This is why understanding the difference between truth and perception is essential for correct thinking. Perception is shaped by many factors: your past experiences, your emotional state, your values, and even your physical condition in the moment. If you are tired, anxious, or angry, your perception will likely be distorted. A small problem may appear enormous. A minor inconvenience may feel like a personal attack. This distortion is not the truth. It is a filter placed over your vision by your current state of mind. Truth, on the other hand, exists independent of your feelings about it. It is the bare reality of what happened, without your interpretation layered on top. The danger arises when you confuse your perception with truth. When that happens, you react not to reality itself, but to the story you have built around it. For example, a colleague might walk past you without saying hello. The truth, they walked past your perception. They are upset with you, they are rude, or they are ignoring you on purpose. None of these interpretations are confirmed facts, but if you accept them as truth, you will carry the weight of resentment or insecurity unnecessarily. Learning to separate truth from perception requires slowing down and questioning your own thoughts. When something happens, instead of immediately reacting, you pause and ask yourself, what is the undeniable fact here? What actually happened, without adding my opinion or emotion to it? Then you examine the story your mind is telling and ask, is this story true beyond any doubt? Could there be another explanation? This small gap between event and reaction is where wisdom grows. It allows you to respond from clarity instead of being swept away by assumption. This ability to discern is especially important in moments of conflict. In arguments, people often speak from perception, not truth. They say things like, "You always do this," or "You never listen," when the reality is more specific and far less absolute. By sticking to what is actually true, you avoid the trap of exaggeration and misinterpretation. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also builds trust in your own mind. When you know that you are anchored in reality, your words and actions carry a different kind of stability. Separating truth from perception also frees you from unnecessary emotional burdens. Many people carry stress, anger, and regret over events that, in truth, were never as severe as they believed at the time. By revisiting those memories with a clear mind, they often find that their suffering was magnified by their interpretation. This realization can be liberating. It teaches you that while you cannot always control events, you can control the story you attach to them. In everyday life, this skill transforms how you move through the world. A delay in traffic is simply a delay, not a sign that the day is ruined. A mistake is simply a mistake, not a declaration that you are incapable. The truth is often far less dramatic than your perception makes it out to be. And when you live by truth, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. The mind becomes calmer, more focused, and less reactive. This is the foundation for making wise decisions and building a life that is not at the mercy of every passing thought or feeling. In life, situations will arise that test your patience, challenge your beliefs, or provoke your emotions. For many people, the default setting is to react automatically. Something happens, and without any pause, a word is spoken, a decision is made, or an action is taken, often leading to regret afterward. These automatic reactions are the result of ingrained patterns built over years of conditioning. They are the mind's way of saving energy, skipping conscious thought in favor of what is familiar. But what is familiar is not always what is wise. If those patterns are rooted in fear, insecurity, or anger, they will continue to produce results that keep you trapped in the same cycle. Replacing automatic reactions with conscious responses is the key to breaking those cycles. A reaction is quick, impulsive, and often based on emotion rather than logic. A response, on the other hand, is deliberate. It comes after a pause, after a moment of observation, after you have allowed yourself to see the situation clearly. The power of that pause cannot be overstated. In that small space between what happens and what you do next lies the opportunity to change the outcome entirely. The pause begins with awareness. You must first recognize when you are about to react without thinking. This recognition often comes from paying attention to your body and mind. Your heart rate may rise, your voice may get louder, your muscles may tighten. These are signals that your body is preparing for an automatic reaction. Instead of letting those signals take over, you use them as reminders to stop and breathe. A single deep breath can be enough to interrupt the chain of reaction and give you the clarity needed to choose a better course of action. When you choose a conscious response, you take back control of your life. You are no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of habit and emotion. You become the one holding the strings. This does not mean you suppress your emotions or pretend they do not exist. On the contrary, it means you acknowledge them fully without allowing them to dictate your action. You feel anger, but you do not let anger speak for you. You feel fear, but you do not let fear decide for you. This is a discipline that requires practice, and like all skills, it strengthens with repetition. Imagine a conversation where someone insults you. The automatic reaction might be to insult them back, to defend yourself instantly, to match aggression with aggression. A conscious response might be to stay silent for a moment, to assess whether their words are worth your energy, to decide whether engaging will improve the situation or make it worse. In most cases, the conscious choice leads to less conflict, less damage, and more respect for yourself. In the long term, replacing reactions with responses changes not only your behavior, but also your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is calm under pressure, someone who does not get pulled into every emotional storm, someone who acts from principle rather than impulse. Others will notice this as well, and you will become a source of stability in situations where others lose their composure. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. The same way your mind once reacted automatically out of habit, it will begin to respond automatically with intention. The difference is that this new habit is built consciously, not by accident. It is rooted in clarity, patience, and self-control. Every time you choose to respond rather than react, you reinforce the belief that you are in charge of your thoughts and actions, not the other way around. This shift creates a profound sense of inner freedom, because no matter what life throws at you, you know that your actions are the result of choice, not compulsion. A strong mind is not built overnight. It is the result of consistent training, just like the body gains strength through repeated exercise. Many people expect mental clarity, discipline, and focus to simply appear when needed, but without deliberate practice, the mind will default to old habits and unexamined patterns. To think correctly, you must treat your mind like a skill that needs daily cultivation. This cultivation comes through repetition and reflection, two practices that work together to refine your thoughts and make them serve you rather than control you. Repetition is the foundation of mental training. Every thought you entertain repeatedly shapes the way your mind operates. If you repeatedly tell yourself you are capable, you start to act in ways that prove it. If you repeatedly tell yourself you cannot succeed, you unconsciously sabotage your own progress. The mind learns through patterns, and the patterns you reinforce become the default pathways your brain follows. This is why conscious repetition of empowering thoughts, clear intentions, and constructive habits is so essential. You are not simply trying to have one good thought. You are building a mental structure where good thoughts are the norm. But repetition without reflection can turn into empty routine. Reflection is the process of stepping back and evaluating what your thoughts are producing in your life. It is the act of asking yourself, are my thoughts leading me toward the life I want or pulling me further away from it? Reflection allows you to identify which mental patterns need to be strengthened and which need to be replaced. Without this self-examination, you may repeat the same unhelpful patterns for years, believing they are serving you when in reality they are holding you back. Training the mind is not only about inserting positive affirmations. It is about cultivating awareness of what is true. Sometimes reflection will reveal that you are thinking in ways that feel comfortable, but are not aligned with reality. In those moments, correct thinking requires the courage to face the truth, even if it disrupts the stories you have told yourself for a long time. Repetition then comes in to rebuild your mental framework with thoughts that are both truthful and constructive. Consider the way musicians or athletes train. They do not practice only when they feel inspired. They repeat the same movements thousands of times, not because they enjoy monotony, but because they understand that mastery is born from consistency. The mind works the same way. Each time you pause to observe your thoughts, each time you replace a harmful pattern with a healthier one, you are performing a mental repetition. Over time, these repetitions accumulate into strength. Just as a muscle grows stronger through repeated use, your ability to think clearly grows stronger each time you practice it. Reflection also helps you measure progress. The mind changes subtly. You may not notice it in a single day, but over months and years, the effects are profound. Looking back, you may realize that situations which once triggered anxiety now meet with calm, that decisions which once felt overwhelming are made with clarity. This awareness reinforces your commitment to the process, showing you that your efforts are not wasted. There will be days when the mind resists training, when it prefers the comfort of old patterns. In those moments, repetition is what carries you forward. Discipline is often less about feeling motivated and more about honoring your practice even when you don't want to. Reflection then ensures that you are not simply going through the motions, but are moving with purpose. Together, repetition and reflection create a cycle of growth. Repetition builds the new habit, reflection ensures it is the right habit, and the combination steadily transforms the way you think. Your thoughts are like streams of water, constantly flowing. Left unchecked, they scatter in every direction, seeping into places that serve no purpose. But when guided and channeled with intention, they become a powerful force, capable of shaping landscapes and carving new paths. Directing your thoughts toward purpose and alignment is the practice of ensuring that your mental energy is not wasted on what is meaningless, but instead flows toward what matters most to you. This is not something that happens by accident. It is a deliberate act that requires clarity, discipline, and self-awareness. The first step is knowing your purpose. Without a clear sense of where you want to go, your thoughts will naturally drift to whatever is most immediate, most urgent, or most emotionally charged. You may find yourself spending hours replaying past mistakes, worrying about situations beyond your control, or engaging in comparisons that leave you feeling drained. None of these patterns move you closer to your deeper goals. When you know your purpose, it becomes a filter through which every thought can pass. You begin to ask, does this thought support the life I am trying to create, or does it pull me away from it? Alignment is the next piece. Purpose sets the direction. Alignment ensures that your thoughts, actions, and values are moving together in that direction. It is possible to have a clear goal but sabotage yourself because your thoughts are misaligned with it. For example, you might want to improve your health but constantly think of exercise as a chore, or want to build meaningful relationships but dwell on distrust. Alignment requires that your inner dialogue reflects and supports the outcomes you desire. Without it, your mind becomes a battlefield of conflicting intentions, and progress slows to a crawl. Directing your thoughts is not about controlling every single idea that enters your mind. That would be impossible. It is about guiding your focus back to what matters whenever it wanders. Just as a captain steers a ship, constantly adjusting its course in response to wind and waves, you adjust your mental focus throughout the day. When distractions arise, you acknowledge them. Then redirect your attention to the thoughts that keep you aligned with your purpose. Over time, this redirection becomes natural, and the moments of drifting become shorter and less frequent. One of the most powerful effects of directing your thoughts toward purpose is the way it influences your decisions. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is shaped by what occupies your mind. If your thoughts are filled with fear, your decisions will be cautious and limited. If they are filled with clarity and conviction, your decisions will be bold and decisive. When your thoughts consistently align with your purpose, decision-making becomes simpler because the question is no longer what feels good in the moment, but what serves my higher goal. This mental alignment also has a compounding effect. Each time you direct your thoughts toward purpose, you strengthen the mental pathways that make it easier to do so again. It is similar to walking through a field. The first time you cross, the grass is tall and resistant, but after many crossings, a clear path emerges. In the same way, the more often you bring your mind back to alignment, the more natural it becomes to think in ways that support your growth. Directing thoughts toward purpose is not about constant intensity. It is about consistency. Some days your mind will be sharp and clear. Other days it will feel scattered. The key is not perfection, but persistence. Even on difficult days, you can take a moment to remind yourself of your direction and make small mental adjustments. These small adjustments, repeated over time, lead to remarkable transformation. A mind aligned with purpose does not waste its energy on what cannot be changed or on pursuits that do not matter. It becomes a focused, disciplined force, shaping life with intention rather than drifting through it by chance. The quality of your life is inseparable from the quality of your thinking. Every choice, every action, every outcome begins in the mind. And the way you train and guide that mind determines the path you walk. When you understand that the mind is the root of all actions, you begin to see the importance of shaping your thoughts with clarity and discipline. By learning to separate truth from perception, you free yourself from the chains of assumption and reaction, seeing life as it truly is rather than through the distortion of unchecked emotion. Through the practice of replacing automatic reactions with conscious responses, you take back control from ingrained habits and emotional impulses, creating space for wiser, more deliberate action. Training the mind through repetition and reflection ensures that this clarity is not temporary but becomes a lasting foundation, built one intentional thought at a time. And by directing your thoughts toward purpose and alignment, you ensure that your mental energy is not wasted, but flows consistently toward the life you are committed to building. This is the journey of correct thinking, not a single step, but a continual process of awareness, discipline, and intentionality. It is how the mind becomes your greatest ally, shaping your actions and in turn shaping the life you were meant to live.